What's going on, y'all? So this is gonna be the final video or vlog in my mini series for my DCIM capstone class. And like I mentioned in my last video, I'm gonna be talking about the business side of things and how technology can change the fashion industry in the future for the better. If you want to look at the articles I used for this, you can go down below, check those out. If you want to just see where my opinions lie or just what I've been using for my information. So in terms of fashion has a very long and strenuous process. It goes through picking the materials, making sure the materials go well together, making the materials, where to make the materials, the object of shipping, the object of selling, the object of buying. There's a lot that goes into it that is unnecessary. Stuff that we can get rid of with technology. Something that we can slowly progress to with the use of the internet, the use of seamless connection, seamless networking. So one of the first things that's an issue is inventory. So with the addition of online technology and online shopping for clothing and just fashion pieces in general, is that most people, even if it's not fashion, enjoy shopping at home, enjoy shopping online. Going to the store is very inconvenient. There's a drive, sometimes there's a wait, and sometimes it's congested, and people don't like that. And because of that, because so many people are shopping online, the inventory problems happens at those big retailers. Happens because those items in store aren't being sold. Some of those items aren't being listed online and are just staying in stores, not making the value that they were sent out to make. And that goes into a lot of pricing issues, a lot of waste, because at the end of the day, if the fashion products, if the clothing piece, if the streetwear is not being utilized, it's not doing anything. It's not being bought, it's not being sold, it's technically not even in the system in terms of the community. The next thing that there's an issue with is the transparency of these companies. So when it comes to fashion, obviously making it in the US is very expensive. We don't have that many materials being made here, or materials that we can choose from that are made in the US. So we outsource to different countries, outsource to different places. And frankly, even though these pieces that we get, even though like this jacket, even though my shirt are very items that are very sought after, sometimes they only cost a couple dollars to make. And that's another thing, because the conditions that these items are being made in are in poorer conditions where people are getting paid even less. So companies like H&M and Nike have to take into account the conditions they're putting people to work in, and they have to be transparent about it, because in the fashion industry, like I mentioned throughout a good amount of these videos, is that popularity is a big thing. Being the brand is the thing. And if you do not have a good background, that loses a lot of that consumer base. So being transparent about where you get your materials from, where you sell them, and what you do is very essential to running these businesses. It's a very small part, but it's a big part of the fashion industry, and people want to see improvements for the company. They don't want, oh, we're just gonna have factories with people working in them for dollars or pennies a day. People don't want to see that. People do not want to support that. People do not want to give their money to people that agree to that. So in giving them better conditions, being truthful about how you treat them and what steps you're going to take to make that better is essential to the fashion industry. Another thing that we deal with are the costs and fees that go into the fashion industry. So like I mentioned before, it's picking materials, making the materials, the over shipping, the costs that come, or like taxes that come from international places. All of that is really dependent on the item, dependent on where it's going, And those are big fees that are basically have no use for the consumer. You're trying to improve the consumer's experience by giving them stuff that adds value to the product, adds value to the process. By taking out those costs and those fees, a good amount of them, by having everything at a centralized warehouse, because that's where most people do their shopping, would take away from having that inventory, would take away from having that bad transparency, because everything's going to be in one place. Yes, it's going to take a little longer to ship, but that's a lot of saved money that can go towards that shipping, and could make it even faster, because everyone is looking for an immediate gratification regardless of what it is. And at the end of the day, with all that, that's a big supply chain issue. That's an issue that I really like going into, because supply chain is my major, and supply chain is all about the inventory, getting from A to B, how you're going to store it, what you're going to do. And there's a lot that goes into the fashion industry that's being wasted. There's a lot that could be improved on and could get that support of consumers in order to make that profit, in order to make more for the consumer. And with that, that's why we have some of these outrageous prices for these pieces of clothing, this wearable technology, all this fashion. That's why these prices lie so high, or have a significant high resale value, is because some of them start being made at a couple dollars and are being started at like 40 or 50 because of all of that, all the shipping, all the handling, all the picking. It's a long process, and a big profit is need to be made, especially to maintain these places, pay people not only in the factories but in their retail stores and the corporate companies. All of that is a part of the process that goes into fashion. So yes, we do have that flashy, oh, I got this jacket, I want to look cool kind of thing, and it's built into our social media presence, and we see that and we want to be a part of that. But there's always a backstory to it. There's a lot that could be improved on when it comes to how we deal with streetwear and fashion in our daily lives, and how we shouldn't let it control us but be a part of how we express ourselves. But there's also that part where everything's a business, and how we can improve that so we can make our lifestyles more comfortable and more livable at the end of the day. If you enjoyed that, you can see where I got all my articles, like I mentioned before, in the description down below. I hope you like this journey, and I hope you enjoy it. I'll catch y'all.